I still remember the moment I walked into that restaurant and realized everyone had been watching me. Not because I was famous. Not because I had done anything important. But because they were waiting for me to react. Waiting for me to laugh. Waiting for me to get angry. Waiting for me to walk away. And when I didn't, the entire room ended up in tears. Before we begin, if you believe that kindness matters more than appearances and that everyone deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs to hear this message, and subscribe to Compassion Hub for more heart-touching stories that restore faith in humanity. The summer sun was bright that afternoon when 29-year-old Rowan Mercer received a text message from his co-workers. Rowan was a quiet accountant who spent most of his days buried in spreadsheets and reports. He wasn't the kind of man who enjoyed parties, social gatherings, or blind dates. Yet for months, his co-workers had been insisting that he needed to get back into the dating world after a painful breakup that had left him emotionally exhausted. At first, he refused every suggestion. But after constant encouragement, he finally agreed to meet someone they had chosen for him. The date was arranged at a small family-owned restaurant downtown. According to his co-workers, the woman was kind, intelligent, and looking for a serious relationship. They refused to show him a photo, insisting that a blind date should remain a surprise. As Rowan parked his car outside the restaurant, he felt nervous but hopeful. Maybe this was exactly what he needed. Maybe life was finally giving him another opportunity to move forward. Inside the restaurant, several tables were occupied. Sunlight streamed through the windows, filling the room with warmth. Near the back sat a woman in a blue dress. The moment Rowan saw her, he immediately understood what was happening. The woman was severely overweight. Several people nearby glanced toward him. Some of them appeared to recognize him from social media posts his co-workers had shared about the blind date. Others simply sensed something unusual. Rowan noticed a few smirks. A few whispers. A few people waiting to see how he would react. The woman sat alone, nervously twisting a napkin between her fingers. Her eyes briefly met his before quickly looking away. In that single moment, Rowan saw something that many people never noticed. Fear. Not fear of rejection. Fear of humiliation. The kind of fear that comes from years of being laughed at, judged, and dismissed before anyone takes the time to know who you are. As Rowan slowly approached the table, he realized that this woman wasn't expecting kindness. She was preparing herself for pain. Her name was Serena Vale. As they sat together, Rowan noticed how carefully she chose her words. Every sentence seemed filtered through years of self-consciousness. Every smile appeared hesitant, as if she wasn't sure whether she had permission to be happy. But beneath that nervous exterior was someone remarkable. Serena worked as a children's librarian. She spent her weekends organizing reading programs for disadvantaged kids. She volunteered at community centers and often purchased books with her own money for families who couldn't afford them. The more she talked, the more Rowan found himself forgetting everything else. Her kindness filled the room. Her passion inspired him. Her laughter felt genuine. Hours passed without either of them noticing. Meanwhile, something else was happening. Several of Rowan's co-workers had quietly arrived at the restaurant. They sat at distant tables pretending not to watch. But they were watching. Every second. Every reaction. Every expression. Because this wasn't simply a blind date. It was a cruel joke. Earlier that week, Rowan would later discover that some co-workers had made assumptions about how he would react. They believed he would immediately reject Serena because of her appearance. They wanted entertainment. They wanted gossip. They wanted a story to tell. What they got instead was something none of them expected. As the afternoon continued, Serena slowly became more comfortable. The nervousness faded from her voice. Her smile became natural. For the first time in a long time, she looked genuinely happy. Then the moment arrived. One of Rowan's co-workers approached their table. The man couldn't contain his curiosity any longer. He asked how the date was going. The entire restaurant seemed to grow quiet. People looked up from their meals. Servers paused nearby. Everyone waited. They expected Rowan to laugh off the situation. Maybe make a joke. Maybe complain. Maybe reveal his disappointment. Instead, Rowan looked directly at Serena. Then he looked at his coworker. And what he said next changed everything. He explained that he had spent years dating people who looked perfect on the outside but lacked kindness, empathy, and compassion. He said he had learned the hard way that beauty fades, trends change, and appearances can deceive. Then he spoke about Serena. He described her generosity, her intelligence, her dedication to helping children, her warmth, her heart. He said that in just a few hours she had shown more authenticity than many people he had known for years. The restaurant became completely silent. His coworker stood frozen. Several people lowered their eyes. Others appeared visibly emotional. But Rowan wasn't finished. He said something that nobody there would ever forget. He said that the real tragedy wasn't Serena's weight. The real tragedy was how many people had failed to see the extraordinary person standing behind it. At that moment, Serena's eyes filled with tears. Not because she felt pitied, but because someone had finally seen her. Really seen her. For years she had been reduced to a number on a scale. A stereotype. A joke. A judgment. Now, for perhaps the first time, someone was recognizing her humanity before her appearance. The emotional weight of the moment spread throughout the room. A waitress wiped away tears. An elderly couple sitting nearby held hands. Even Rowan's co-workers appeared ashamed. The joke they had created had revealed something uncomfortable about themselves. They had underestimated both Serena and Rowan. The afternoon ended with Rowan and Serena walking together through a nearby park beneath the bright daylight sky. Children played in the distance while birds drifted above the trees. Neither of them knew what the future would hold. But both knew something important had happened. A wall had been broken. A wound had begun to heal. Over the following months, they continued seeing each other. Their relationship grew slowly and naturally. They supported each other through challenges. They celebrated victories together. Most importantly, they built their connection on respect rather than appearances. 1 year later, Rowan returned to the same restaurant. This time, he wasn't there for a blind date. He was there with Serena. The staff immediately recognized them. Many remembered the unforgettable afternoon that had touched so many lives. And on that day, surrounded by sunlight and smiling faces, Rowan asked Serena to marry him. She said yes through tears of joy. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who believes in judging people by their character rather than their appearance, and subscribe to Compassion Hub for more inspiring stories. Special request: comment below with the words, "Kindness sees beyond appearances," if you believe every person deserves to be valued for who they truly are. Because sometimes the most beautiful people are the ones the world overlooks. Sometimes the greatest love stories begin where others expect rejection. And sometimes a single act of compassion can reveal the humanity that was there all along. The people in that restaurant never forgot what happened that day. Not because a man accepted a blind date, but because he reminded everyone that true beauty isn't something we see with our eyes. It's something we recognize with our hearts.